Festival is part of Open Streets Minneapolis and will take place on Lake Street between 12th and 15th Avenues. There will be 3 blocks of fun activities, including live music, a youth soccer exhibition, food vendors throughout Open Streets, an opportunity to learn about the Midtown Greenway Trail, and more. So this weekend, meet your neighbors and enjoy some outdoor summer fun at the Midtown Phillips Festival Saturday from 11 until 4:30. Learn more at midtownphillips.org.
Don't fall for vaccine misinformation. Local medical professionals are available to answer any of your questions. Initial shots and boosters are safe for people who are pregnant and even young children. Right now, vaccines are available for anyone over 6 months of age, while boosters are available for anyone over the age of 5. This message brought to you by the Native American Community Clinic. Find a vaccination site by calling 651-304-9986 or visit vaccineconnector.mn.gov.
Minnesota has the only original wolf population in the continental United States, and 80% of Minnesotans believe the wolf should be protected. Howling for Wolves is asking Minnesotans to respect our true wildlife manager, the wolf. Their survival is critical to our ecosystems, our communities, and even our economy. As highly intelligent animals with strong social bonds, Minnesota wolves deserve to be protected and admired. Learn more at howlingforwolves.org. Let's live and let howl.
Hey, Olgama, I've been hearing a lot about this term, climate justice. What is that?
Climate justice is recognizing that the negative impacts of climate change don't affect all people equally. It also means transitioning from a fossil fuel-based economy to a more sustainable future. MN350 is one of the groups that's pushing for this transition to protect our futures. You can even get involved too.
That's great, especially since I'm concerned about pipeline projects like Line 3. How can I help MN350?
Just find them on Facebook or visit mn350.org.
Course Breaks helps provide free digital textbooks to college students in underserved communities. But how does it work? Course Breaks works with a network of publishers that provide free digital textbooks to students with sponsorships covering the cost. These textbooks have been used in thousands of colleges and universities. And Course Breaks is currently being offered in all tribal colleges and universities and historically Black colleges and universities. To discuss a corporate or private contribution, visit coursebreaks.com.
With a look at your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lulia. Clear tonight with a low of 62, then sunshine Wednesday with a high of 85. Hazel's Northeast offers the most creative comfort food you'll find for any meal of the day. Hazel's is located at 29th and Johnson in Minneapolis, minutes from 35W. More at hazelsne2go.com.
Portions of Native Roots Radio may be pre-recorded.
It's a good day to be indigenous.
Get up, stand up.
They are going to become more brutal.
Couldn't cut. He didn't cut again.
Because all the hippies were trying to be Indians anyway.
They're going to become more repressive because it's a matter of dollars and their illusionary concepts of power.
Hey, Victor.
We must live in balance with the earth.
And also with recent happenings at Wounded Knee.
I am awake.
Welcome to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Wakanja Hade. Hey, Kadagi to all my friends and relatives in 4 directions. You are listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Robert Pilot, and tonight is Native Roots Radio presents Rock the Vote Native Style. We have Nancy Beaulieu on deck here, and we got a guest here tonight, Erika Bailey-Johnson, who was on earlier, and we had a little difficulty here. Well, I did. I was having problems completing my sentences, so we asked her back here so we could interview her in a good way. Also, we have Ogama, and what we want to do, Ogama, is maybe just talk a little bit about a couple things before we get the show going here, Rock the Vote Native Style. And one of the things I want to bring up to you immediately is that today's election day, and we are rocking the vote Native Style. I walked to my precinct and did my primary vote, and I know all in Wisconsin, where we are live too, it is election day. And then also, I don't know, we got a couple things happening here nationally and locally I'd like to talk to you about. And also, I'm just really excited that Trump may go to prison. So,
yes.
Welcome.
Yeah, Mar-a-Lago was raided yesterday, so we're hoping to find out the results of that here soon. I believe there were 3 suspects that were arrested in the Mall of America shooting that happened last week that we talked about quite a bit. And obviously, it is primary election day. You can find your polling place in Minnesota at pollfinder.sos.state.mn.us. And you enter in your address and it will tell you your polling place. And I believe, Nancy, you'll have to correct me on this. You can still register the day of, right? If you weren't registered, you can register at the polls.
Right. And you got to make sure you have an ID and some type of utility bill or your lease agreement if you're registering to vote at the polls. So, and you have till 8 p.m. tonight to do that. So again, find out if you have a new polling location because of the census count in 2020. The redistricting has created some new polling places for some of our voters. So make sure that you have the right polling place before you show up, especially if you're running in last minute, how us natives roll, So make sure you're going to the right polling place and make sure you have enough time to do that 8 p.m. And if you're in line at 8 p.m., you still get to vote. So just make sure, even if you're there at 7:59, you still get to vote.
Wow, and that's how you rock the vote native style, isn't it? Oh, who?
Right. I see we have matching shirts on today, Robert. Yeah,
Right.
so native vote does count, and I can't stress it enough, Robert. If we don't show up to the polls, we're not going to see change. We have so many awesome candidates out there. We have our relatives running for office. We have non-native candidates that support the work we do, align with our values, and they uphold the treaty. So it's really up to the people. This is where the power is. If we don't make it to the primary election tonight before 8 o'clock, some of those candidates may not make the November 3rd general ballot. So it's really up to us if we want to see those candidates into office that we make time this evening to find that polling place and make sure you have your proper ID and the right kind of information if you need to register at on site tonight to vote. So make sure you're out and about, pick up your friends, your relatives, your neighbors, and make sure that everyone has an opportunity to vote tonight, because it's really important that we show up, because again, it's part of our civic duty to do so.
Well, we are rocking the vote. Who? Hey, so one of the things too, Nancy, I think if we talk to our young ones, and I'm not sure how it worked for you, but I know if you vote at your first election where you can turn 18, it's more likely that you'll vote the rest of your life. And I think that's and it sounds like Nancy's getting electrocuted, Ogama. I'm gonna mute her real quick. Oh, we lost Ogama. It sounded like Nancy was getting electrocuted, Ogama. I had to mute her.
Sometimes technology is funny like that, but we keep carrying on, don't we, on this live show, Robert?
Yeah. Well, I always like live shows, and what I always like too is the fact that we're on 5 days a week all over the country here. And when we used to be just a Saturday show, I carried those kind of things with me for a week, and now we got another show tomorrow just in case. So, that's I'm really excited. Nancy, you're back. Did you hear my question? It was like, once you if you start running, not running, if you vote when you're 18 in your first election, or 19, whatever the cycle happens to you, more than likely you will vote the rest of your life.
Woo!
Correct. And I hope you can hear me, because it is part of our civic duty to vote. And when we're 18, we
I'm muting you, Nancy, because you sound like Frankenstein, the Bride of Frankenstein. You know what I mean? It's kind of a weird sound, Ogama. And you don't have your mic on today, so I'm the only one that sounds beautiful today.
I guess so, but Nancy, from what I could hear and what I could gather of what she was saying, you're right, Robert. It's super important that people get out and vote right away when they turn 18. And they've done all kinds of studies that say that if you vote during the first election that you're eligible to vote in, that you will continue to vote. And it's important that everybody continues to vote. We need young voices just as much as we need voices in the middle, just as much as we need elder voices. All of those voices matter. And together, that is how we make change happen.
Well, I know you did you mailed your vote in, or you were an early voter, but you usually take your daughter with you, don't you, Ogama, when you do?
Yeah, I do. This year, we had planned to be out of town this week, and it was just going to be too hectic for me to try to get down to the polls. So I requested an absentee ballot. But actually, my partner is taking my daughter down with him to the polls here in the next half hour or so. They're getting ready to go now.
Well, maybe they'll bring your headset back after they're done voting.
Maybe. We'll see.
Hey, can you hear us now, Nancy?
I can somewhat. I don't understand why it is chopping out because I'm here in a good way. I'm right in town where there's reception, so I apologize. But yeah, I do agree. You know, if you make a commitment to be a responsible adult, part of that starts with voting. And once you take that first initial vote, you understand why voting is important and why, you know, we need to show it. Because again, it's not just a vote, it's our voice. And what we're going to do moving into 2024 is we're going to teach people how to be civically engaged in this process after November 3rd, because it's not just about voting, it's about holding the candidates' feet to the fire in a good way. So they're out there on a platform saying, I support this and I support that and this and that, and I need your vote. We want to make sure we follow up with that, this and that, and make sure that they're true to their campaign platforms. And it's us that have to make that happen by being engaged in our city council meetings, our county commissioner board meetings, and showing up to be on part of any type of board that's out there, from law enforcement to healthcare to education. And I think, you know, it's our job, you know, to teach our people how to show up in this kind of way. So I'm really excited about not just the November 3rd, the work that we got to do to get people to the polls, but how do we build that power afterwards? Because it's really important that we continue the good work in between every single election, because if we can do that, we're only going to get better at what we do. And we're learning how to play this game, and we're going to play it better than the Republicans. I hate to say that today, but anyway, it's true. And I think, you know, I'm not telling people how to vote today because that's not my job, but I am asking people to make sure that they find time to vote before 8 o'clock tonight. And yeah, make sure you make an informed voting decision too. And Robert, I'm going to say it again. I remember when I was a young voter, I was proud of showing up to vote, but I wasn't making informed voting decisions. So I want to make sure you all do that before you head to the polls tonight. Go and find out the candidates, and I will share that link during our break into the chat.
Awesome. Hey, Nancy, can't wait. We got a guest coming up next. Got Erika Bailey-Johnson, and we're going to really wrap around and get some really good questions. You're listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this portion's brought to you by Native Roots Arts at the Fair. We'll be back after this. Come see the Native Roots Trading Post at the West End Market of the Minnesota State Fair. Native Roots Trading Post is Native owned and operated. Shop goods from local and national Native artists that you'll love instantly. Native Roots Trading Post is supporting Native artists this year at the Minnesota State Fair, August 25th to September 5th. Native Roots Trading Post, we support Native artists, and you can too. Buy Native at the Native Roots Trading Post this year at the Minnesota State Fair.
COVID levels may be falling, but the virus is still around. Stay healthy and up to date on your COVID vaccinations and boosters. Right now, everyone 6 months and older is eligible to get a vaccination, while everyone 5 and up is eligible for their booster shot. Plus, you're eligible for a second booster if you're over 50 or received an initial booster dose at least 4 months ago. Find a vaccination site by calling 651-304-9986 or visit vaccineconnector.mn.gov. This message brought to you by the Native American Community Clinic.
College textbooks have never been more expensive. In fact, textbook costs can make college unaffordable to many prospective students. That's especially true for Native Americans. But a new initiative called Course Breaks wants to help with textbook costs for Native American students. Course Breaks partners with book publishers and tribal colleges and universities to provide free textbooks. But Course Breaks needs your help to continue their mission. Become a donor to help Indigenous students continue their education. To discuss a corporate or private contribution, visit coursebreaks.com.
Hey, Ogama, I've been hearing a lot about this term, climate justice. What is that?
Climate justice is recognizing that the negative impacts of climate change don't affect all people equally. It also means transitioning from a fossil fuel-based economy to a more sustainable future. MN350 is one of the groups that's pushing for this transition to protect our futures. You can even get involved too.
That's great, especially since I'm concerned about pipeline projects like Line 3. How can I help MN350?
Just find them on Facebook or visit mn350.org.
This is Winona LaDuke of Honor the Earth, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio. I'm Awake.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot. Wow, we're really excited to have Nancy Beaulieu on, and along with Erika Bailey, and this is Rock the Vote Native Style in a good way. We're going to add Nancy on there. Nancy, hopefully you've smudged off a little bit and your electros will not be interfering with the show. It looks like you're frozen right now. So there she's coming back and forth. I'm going to talk to Erika here right now. Erika, tell us a little bit about yourself, and just remember it's election night, and I hope you're feeling good.
Miigwech, I really appreciate you guys bringing me back on. Can you hear me okay?
Hear you perfect.
Hey, nice. I'm using my phone, so I was hoping it would work out a little better than the last time. So I should have brought my vote sticker, and I was thinking of sticking it on my forehead, but I did go vote in our primaries. I just got done doing that. I love how Nancy said flying in at the last minute. I feel like I'm constantly doing that lately. But Buju, Erika Bailey-Johnson, Indigenous Jaganashi Mang, Mamengwe, Indigenous Ojibwe Mang, Makwa, Indodem, Abamijigama Gindonjaba, Bamijigama Gabe Gikindaso, Wigamig Nandano Kikana Wenda Kamiga Wigamigang, Indibendagos Miswa Gami Zaga Iganing. So I'm a member of the Red Lake Band of Ojibwe, and really honored to be encouraged by my community to run for Minnesota House 2B. So I'm up in northern Minnesota, and lots of people have been asking me, why I'm running, and it's like hard as, I recognize that I'm a mostly white Native person, but I really my heart is all there, my spirit's all there, and I just feel like the timing is what I'm supposed to do. 5 months ago, I never would have known that this was the place that I needed to be. But it's been pretty clear ever since made the decision to step into this role that I have felt like there's a wind at my back. So it's been awesome. So many people, so many things that have happened that have just let me know that I'm doing the right thing. And a lot of it's super hard. So yeah, I'm just really honored to be here with you right now.
Tell us a little bit about your background again. And that's really important because I feel like we need to get more normal people. Could I put up a quote for that? More normal people
I don't know if that's a good one.
More normal. But tell us a little bit about your background, and I think you have a really cool story too about how you came about to run.
Yeah. So I'm just kind of going back a little bit. Originally from Grand Rapids, Minnesota. My dad bought a lumber company. And then he bought a bunch of land up in Lake of the Woods County in the very northern part of Minnesota, way up on the Canadian border. He bought an old farmstead. And that's where I mostly grew up. Spent the rest of graduated from high school, played a bunch of sports. I feel like that kept me out of trouble. And then I went to University of Minnesota Morris and I got and I played college volleyball there. And I got a biology degree. And then my husband and I actually got a teaching licensure, and I went overseas, or international, I should say, for 5 years. I went to Mexico and taught 9th and 10th grade science for 2 years. And then I went to Kuwait in the Middle East for 3 years after that and taught 7th grade science. And that was where I had my first son. And then home called me back. So we came back to Bemidji, and then I've been the sustainability director here at Bemidji State University for the last about 15 years. And so that's been my work. I tell people I work for Mother Earth, that's what I do. And so yeah, that's a little bit about what, my road so far.
And then how did you come about running for office? Because, for instance, we've been trying to give Nancy Beaulieu like the push for the last couple of years. How did this story happen to you?
Nancy, you're up. I would love to see her run. So I really just had someone in the community that approached once the redistricting was done. He approached me and he's like, Erika, have you ever thought about running, for state office? And I was like, no. And then kept on me, and he had asked my family, to meet with him and think about it. And I think originally they thought I was a different district. But then learned where I lived, which is outside of Bemidji a ways, and that I was in like a different, I was in 2B instead of 2A. Because 2A, I don't know if you familiar, with that, but it's Bemidji where I work, Red Lake where I'm enrolled, and then Lake of the Woods where I'm from. So that's 2A. And 2B is different, but yeah. So I ultimately just once I was asked, it was really important to me to ask a lot of my community then, like ask a lot of elders that I trust with, good opinions. And every person that I asked about running for office said that they need someone like me there now. So it's time. I need to do this. So I felt like I needed to step into that ring.
That's awesome too. Right. And it would be, Nancy, you trying to say something? Go ahead, Nancy.
I enough, without distortion here, and I just really want to pop in really quick before it goes haywire on me again. But I just want to say a big miigwech to Erika for stepping it up, because this is a fine example of a community member stepping it up and running for office, because it's people like Erika that can help create change. And again, she works for Mother Earth. We all should be working for Mother Earth. And if we don't show up to those polls, not just tonight, but on November 3rd, chances are, they're not going to have the support that they need to win those offices. And we want to encourage our relatives not to vote just tonight, but on November 3rd. So we have a lot of work between and Erika. Again, we couldn't thank you enough for stepping out of your comfort zone and running this race.
Miigwech, Nancy, I really appreciate that. And I'm just, doing what feels like the right path, and not necessarily that it's comfortable or what feel like. I don't feel like a politician. I'm going to say that. I don't feel like, but that's, I think, exactly what people are waiting for. And it's the support of folks like you that make me feel better about my days that maybe are a little bit harder, you run across a lot of people that are that when you're knocking on doors, I've only had the door closed on me once. I think that's good. But some people are just like, nope, I vote all red, or so there's all kinds of different things that you're seeing out there that are hard and make you a little bit concerned. But then it's folks like you that then give me hope and make me realize that I'm in the right place.
Well, I know we've had a lot of candidates on, and one of the things, Erika, that I've heard is how important, especially after COVID and not being able to do the door-to-door stuff, how important it is to reach out and meet people where they're at, physically and politically.
Yeah, it's been awesome. I honestly was not looking forward to door knocking because my experience with that is as a little kid trying to sell candles, my mom would drive me around, and, people would come up to the, door in their underwear or whatever. It was really scary and kind of traumatic. And so that was my memory. And we got the electric static Nancy over there. I don't know if you guys heard it, but
you to smudge your car off a little.
Yeah. All right, that might be it. But so the door knocking, when we've been going out consistently, I've got parts of 7 counties in my district. That my largest community is 1,200 people. So it's a very, very large rural district. And that's the best way for me to win, is to honestly meet people. So I've been going to a ton of events, been door knocking, and I absolutely love it. It's been awesome to meet people, and I feel like I could write like a pretty interesting book already about the people that I've run across. But yeah, it's been amazing. And that and people say like eye to eye, but I'm always like heart to heart. I feel like that heart to heart connection when you meet with people, the spirit to spirit is really powerful, and there's no better way to do that than to meet people in person.
I can relate a little bit. I am a tribal legislator for my nation, and elders asked me to run too. And one of the things is when you go in there in a good way, you have nothing to lose. If you're, going, oh, I need this job, or I need this power trip, people can tell, and especially when face to face.
Yeah, and it's been a lot, honestly, of people kind of having the script or having the whatever. And I probably am irritating quite a few people, honestly, because I'm like, I'm just like, this is what I do, and this is how I'm going to do it. And and it's been great. Like, it's been working really well. I don't use a script. I meet every person that comes to the door. It doesn't matter if it's a person on my list, so there's just all these ways that I think people have been doing things for a long time without question, that I'm not, since I'm new, right? Since I have no background in this, I have no idea. And so I'm just kind of doing what feels right. And that seems to be working.
Hey, Erika, stay with us for another segment. Do you have time?
Yeah. Yep. That'll work.
Right on. We're with Erika Bailey-Johnson up in 2B, and I couldn't read my own handwriting. I put 28. It's Minnesota House. So we'll be right back after this short break. Nancy Beaulieu, Ogama, and Erika, and I rock the vote native style. Hey, Wendy, what are we doing for dinner after the show?
How about we go to J. Selby's on 169 Victoria Street in St. Paul? They have a delicious plant-based menu that's compassionate and environmentally sustainable.
I'm getting their spot-on vegan Big Mac, the dirty secret.
You can pick up and they deliver within a 5-mile radius, or you can call them at 651-222-3263 or visit jselbys.com.
Well, you sold me, Wen. Let's go order at J. Selby's tonight.
I'm hungry.
If the statistics say that 1 in 3 Native women and 1 in 6 Native men have experienced sexual assault in their lifetime, it means our whole community is affected by sexual violence. 1 is too many. Don't stand by, stand up. Don't engage in acts of sexual violence, and shut down the dirty jokes, the gossip, the victim blaming and shaming. As a community, we can change the way we respond. Contact the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition to attend a workshop to learn more.
Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
Don't fall for vaccine misinformation. Local medical professionals are available to answer any of your questions. Initial shots and boosters are safe for people who are pregnant and even young children. Right now, vaccines are available for anyone over 6 months of age, while boosters are available for anyone over the age of 5. This message brought to you by the Native American Community Clinic. Find a vaccination site by calling 651-304-9986 or visit vaccineconnector.mn.gov.
Minnesotans age 65 plus might qualify for Health Partners Minnesota Senior Health Options. The plan includes personal support, coverage for medical, prescription drugs, and dental, plus over 30 extra benefits. Eligibility information is available at healthpartners.com/oneplan. Health Partners is a health plan that contracts with both Medicare and the Minnesota Medical Assistance Medicaid program to provide benefits of both programs to enrollees. Enrollment in Health Partners depends on contract renewal.
You're invited to the Midtown Phillips Festival this Saturday from 11 until 4:30. The Midtown Phillips Festival is part of Open Streets Minneapolis and will take place on Lake Street between 12th and 15th Avenues. There will be 3 blocks of fun activities, including live music, a youth soccer exhibition, food vendors throughout Open Streets, an opportunity to learn about the Midtown Greenway Trail, and more. So this weekend, meet your neighbors and enjoy some outdoor summer fun at the Midtown Phillips Festival Saturday from 11 until 4:30. Learn more at midtownphillips.org.
Hi, Minnesota. This is David Packman, and you can catch my show weekdays at 2 p.m. for the latest in political news on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
I'm Paul Ostro, and I approve this message.
Candidates for Hennepin County Attorney talk big about police reform, but I am the only candidate who has actually done the work. Last year, I sued the Minneapolis Police Department, blowing the whistle on the coaching loophole that results in 90% of proven MPD conduct violations being kept from the public. I am proud to have the endorsement of my partner in that work, former chair of the Police Conduct Oversight Commission and former Hennepin County Public Defender, Abigail Serra.
Paul is a problem solver. He doesn't just stand around and say, hey, that's an issue, that's a problem. His expertise and his collaboration is what's needed to move this forward.
This primary election, vote for plans, not politics. Visit www.ostroforhennepin.com to check out our 10-point plan to address violent crime. And most importantly, vote Paul Ostro for Hennepin County Attorney on August 9th.
Paid for by Paul Ostro for Hennepin County Attorney.
With a look at your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lulia. Clear tonight with a low of 62, then sunshine Wednesday with a high of 85. Hazel's Northeast offers the most creative comfort food you'll find for any meal of the day. Hazel's is located at 29th and Johnson in Minneapolis, minutes from 35W. More at hazelsne2go.com.
Bijou. I am Oshawashko Gijig. I'm from Red Lake Nation, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. Hey, welcome back, everyone. We're rocking the vote native style here with Erika Bailey-Johnson, Ogama, and Nancy's coming in and out too, kind of like a firebird, you know, with the electrons shooting out, or Thunderbird maybe. Hey, so, you know, I want to get Ogama in here real quick before we start talking again, Erika. Ogama, you put up this awesome stat here. Can you get a little deeper on it and maybe even read it out loud for our people that aren't watching us on YouTube and Facebook?
Yeah, absolutely. So Minnesota's got this really unique situation right now where there are 6 Native candidates who were running unopposed this primary. One of which is Erika Bailey-Johnson, who's Red Lake, and she's running for House District 2B. So she's the only Democratic candidate on the ticket, which means she's unopposed. Steve Green, who's from White Earth Nation, is actually a Republican who's running for House District 2B and is also unopposed. Jamie Becker-Finn, who's from Leech Lake, is a Democrat running for State House District 42B. Heather Keeler, who's from Yankton Sioux Tribe, is a Democrat running for House District 4A. And Alan Roy from White Earth Nation is running for Senate District 2, along with Mary Kunish, who's from Standing Rock Sioux Nation and is a Democrat running for Senate District 41. All of those candidates will be unopposed in the primary, which means they automatically advance into the general election, which is phenomenal and really wonderful, I think, especially for you, Erika, and other candidates who, you know, it's their first time campaigning, and it's good to have that little bit of a leg up to be the only one brave enough to run for office in your area.
Erika, we've got everyone on now except the Republican, and I already forgot his name.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, which that's quite a list. And maybe one of the things I'll just share too is I was working on this big grant project the last 4 years with this awesome Indigenous group in our community, and we were holding these cross-cultural roundtables, and then we'd have like a couple of the years we worked with non-native leaders in our community, and then we'd bring in different people to talk and then share something. And one of the panels that we had was these women, Native women that were in local government. And so we had Mary Kunish, we had Heather Keeler, we had Peggy Flanagan, and then like there was some from city councils too. And I think that was like honestly a big part for me to see them and what they had to say. And I just resonated with like everything they were talking about and inspired honestly by their leadership. And so I just feel like that's what we need right now are these Native leaders getting in there? Like, right, it can come from the outside, and I think that's super important too. Like, you don't have to be in, but I also think being in, it's kind of how I feel about working at BSU too. It's hard, I'm in an institution, like an institution that was made for white people. And
Right.
so, but being in those institutions like politics, like, like I'm in colleges and universities, and then being in and then trying to change the system little by little from within, I think is really important too. Another good way to go down a different path to work together to see those results.
Well, it's really important. And I think, we have, situations where maybe our native politicians aren't doing what we want them to do. But what in the long run is the representation. There's things happening in the background, in the foreground that would not be happening if we didn't have our native representation.
Yep. I'd say like one good example. So I work with a Native group at our university, and we've been working for about 3 years to get an Indigenous course requirement approved by our campus. And I think we'll be one of the first ones in the nation to have a course. It just got approved by our faculty senate, which was the last hurdle in May. So we, basically it came from us, like a bunch of us kind of saying our kids are not coming to us with the knowledge that they need, so until K-12 education gets that figured out, like we're going to step up and we're going to do it. We're going to have every student that graduates from BSU will have to take a course on Indigenous people and culture and history. So I think, that type of work where when we're together figuring that out, we don't always just, agree with each other along every single step. But I think that's the piece that we need to remember, is that we all bring our differences that are wonderful, right? Like our differences that help solve these things. So we need to just get together, talk them through, and that's how we'll come up with these solutions that are a lot better.
Right. And I agree. I'm a former teacher, high school teacher. And one of the things that bothered me the most about the system was we would have a 56% graduation rate, and people would be applauding that. If I was out in the suburbs, the rich suburbs, and there were white people with the 56% graduation rate, they would do everything in their power to change that number. So when we represent, Erika, we need to change things and have people that look like us and talk like us in the forefront.
For sure. Yeah. And that's a big push, like in our local community. I mean, we're very aware of how when students see representative, I mean, that's exactly how I felt, right? When I saw that panel of all those women in local government, I was like, wow, like that's amazing. And I don't really, like, we don't see that too much in Bemidji. We have our first Indigenous woman city council member, Audrey Thayer. But other than that, this last year, like I haven't really seen a lot of those role models. And so I'm hoping to be able to do that. One other connection that I'm thinking of with your story is another project that I worked on at our university is we took all of these pictures down that were in our science hall, so SACGAST hall. And they were all these drawings of mostly, like it was about 95% white males that were up on the walls in our science building. I think there were 2 females and like 40 some males. And so we did a project, took about 3 years, and we worked with students and faculty. And now we have these diverse, I mean, there's all kinds of wonderful scientists from all over the place, and all kinds of cultures and races and, gender identity and all that kind of stuff. So we have this wonderful representation now. So hopefully when a student enters that building, they can say, oh, like, look, that person looks like me, or, like that person is more like me. And they can realize that they have a place there in science, for one example.
Well, we can talk a little bit about entertainment too, because we had the guests of Reservation Dogs on, and Balls, and the movie that just came out, Prey. I've heard so many awesome stories where young people want to stay and watch the show because it's so cool, and the medicines and things like that. And totally what we're talking about, representation.
Yep, no, really important. And I think too, I mean, I'm very aware that I'm mostly white. So one of the things that I feel like I can bring too is being mostly white and being indigenous, because there's honestly a ton of us out there. Like there's a whole army of people that are like me, that are mostly white but have some indigenous heritage, or maybe even are enrolled, and they're really ready, just kind of hesitant, right? Like and rightly so, like we have to honor that place that we're in, that unique place, but also very ready for some changes to come about with with that, and for some leadership and representation. So miigwech.
As an urban Indian, I really feel like that there is no difference if you are native, if you come to our powwows and you come in a good way and you're connected with your tribe, you are native. And I believe that too, because they do the blood quantum, Erica, to get rid of us, but tribes are fighting back by changing things like Red Lake did, and Ho Chunk, and people are talking about that because being African American, it's the one drop law, one drop rule, and I think it's where your heart is and where your family is, and I think we all have we're all mixed with other things. So I just wanted to bring that up because I think, as far as I'm concerned, you are Indian.
Yeah, which I feel like it. Yeah. So I did want to say one last thing too. Like I had this really awesome experience to go up to Turtle Lodge in Sang King Reserve up in Dave Creshane's a spiritual leader up in Canada. I don't know if you're familiar with that place, but I was there about 4 or 5 years ago, and one of the amazing things they're doing up there, which I think we need to think about here, is they were starting to adopt people. I mean, I don't know if that happens, and I haven't heard of it happening in Minnesota, but they were starting to adopt non-native people into their cultures. And so they were saying, like, you have to live this, this type of life and this type of way you have to commit to. So yeah, that was such a cool thing to experience and witness, and I really keep kind of talking about it in spaces because I feel like that might be a really path that we need to think about more.
Well, I would like to bring this up as maybe a counter. I think all our white relatives were once indigenous, like we were, colonized a long time ago, and now we're the last line of colonization because our white allies and people with white heritage were once Mother Earth and once taken care of the land, and this is something a new phenomenon in the last 500 years where they've been colonizing. They're trying to colonize the natives, and we're the last, at least in this hemisphere, we're the last people to fight that. So I agree with that, and to a certain extent, because I think we've all come from the same place at one time.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I think there's a lot of really cool work going on with in our communities. I mean, that's the part that I'm so proud of. Like, I was just at the Red Lake inauguration today. And so I got to, hear kind of the latest work that people are doing, and so much good work around language revitalization and education, creating their own school. Like they have a new school that they're working on. And then working on having food sovereignty and having energy sovereignty. So there's lots of really important, powerful work that is happening in Indian country. And I'm really excited to be a part of that.
Well, we're really excited to have you on the show, and we're going to have you on again. And we'll have Nancy have a better signal and maybe get some tinfoil hooked up to her phone or something and get it going. But thank you so much, Erika Bailey-Johnson, running for District 2B, not 28, because I can't read my handwriting. Thank you so much for stopping in, and we'll see you soon. And thank you for the good words.
Miigwech. Miigwech.
All right, we'll be right back.
J&S Bean Factory is a native-owned, community-supported, cozy, artsy coffee shop which offers roasted on-site beans, live music, and baked goods. Relax in the beautiful outside patio. City Pages writes, voted top 10 coffee shops. Tucked into a quiet corner of St. Paul's Highland Park neighborhood, this coffee shop roasts beans on-site from the best coffee-growing countries in the world. Located at 1518 Randolph Avenue, St. Paul. The good stuff.
Minnesotans age 65 plus might qualify for Health Partners Minnesota Senior Health Options. The plan includes personal support, coverage for medical, prescription drugs, and dental, plus over 30 extra benefits. Eligibility information is available at healthpartners.com/oneplan. Health Partners is a health plan that contracts with both Medicare and the Minnesota Medical Assistance Medicaid program to provide benefits of both programs to enrollees. Enrollment in Health Partners depends on contract renewal.
Hey, Olgama, I've been hearing a lot about this term, climate justice. What is that?
Climate justice is recognizing that the negative impacts of climate change don't affect all people equally. It also means transitioning from a fossil fuel-based economy to a more sustainable future. MN350 is one of the groups that's pushing for this transition to protect our futures. You can even get involved too.
That's great, especially since I'm concerned about pipeline projects like Line 3. How can I help MN350?
Just find them on Facebook or visit mn350.org.
Minnesota has the only original wolf population in the continental United States, and 80% of Minnesotans believe the wolf should be protected. Howling for Wolves is asking Minnesotans to respect our true wildlife manager, the wolf. Their survival is critical to our ecosystems, our communities, and even our economy. As highly intelligent animals with strong social bonds, Minnesota wolves deserve to be protected and admired. Learn more at howlingforwolves.org. Let's live and let howl.
Hi, I'm Jane Fonda, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio.
And we're back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot. Hey, this portion's brought to you by Howling for Wolves, saving the wolves for future generations. Okay. Ogama's back with their little baby. Ogama, that was an awesome interview, even though I do say so myself. What a great candidate, and like-minded, and I don't know that. What did you think of that interview?
Oh, I am a little bit biased, as Erika and I are enrolled in the same tribe, so I always want to be like, represent Red Lake. But also, both the work that Erika and Nancy have done and continue to do for the environment, and all these issues that we're having with the environment here in the state of Minnesota, they're not going to get any better unless we get that representation, unless we get people like them who are willing to step up and help get people registered for voting, help get people to the polls, and also, taking that ultimate step and stepping up to run themselves like Erika has. It's a level of bravery that I have not done yet.
And I like how you said yet. That's a good one,
Well, I shouldn't say that. I am on a school board of the charter school my daughter attends. And I did technically have to run for that spot, but much like Erika and the other 5 candidates in Minnesota, I was essentially unopposed. And there were no other parents who were willing to step up for that role, even in our small charter school community. So the type of person who is willing and able to run for office I feel like that window is getting smaller and smaller. And I'm happy to see that window is opening up for people like Erika, like Alicia Kozlowski in Duluth, and other people like that.
Right. Hey, I think we have Nancy on the phone. We're going to go old school. Next thing, if this doesn't work, we're going to do some smoke signals. Nancy, are you there?
I am. Yes. And I apologize for what goes on here, and I'm reading tongue, so I understand, but it's nice to be able to have the opportunity to call in. And I just totally agree with what Ogama just said, and I'm very proud of Erika for running for office, because she shared her story of how she was inspired to run. And again, it is up to the community to come out of their comfort zones and run for office, because again, like Erika says, she doesn't feel like a politician. but she is community. And a lot of the times why people don't vote, because they don't understand why voting isn't important. And I want people to know that local races often have a more direct impact on our daily lives than federal or state elections. So it's also important to vote for local elections. Voting also gives us the power to elevate the candidates into positions of power who support our vision for the future. It's also, again, like I mentioned earlier, our civic duty, to show up and vote for the democracy. That's part of our voice. And then we see change, Robert, when we vote for people like Erika and Alicia and Heather. And, it's just a powerful thing, I think, when we start doing our part as voters and showing up and supporting those candidates that are willing to go above and beyond and be the voice of our people, of our tribe, and finding a future that we can all thrive in. So I think it's really important that we make time to get out and really care about what's going to happen, because we have to realize some of these state and federal offices are part of lawmaking. The legislation part of creates law, and we want to make sure we're a part of all those processes by showing up and voting.
Well, you always say if we're not at the table, we're there for dinner. We are the dinner, so we're what's being served. So pull up a chair, and like you say, pull up one of those lawn chairs if you have to, and pull up and start speaking your truth. I just want to say one thing too, Nancy, before you respond to that, and Ogama, is that there is still an hour and 7 minutes to get to the polling, and make voting a tradition. That's what we talk about here a lot too, Nance.
Right. And I see something on Facebook. It was disturbing. It was Pete Stauber's running for congressional District 8, and he was proud to share his Trump endorsement. So we have to think, if we don't show up and vote, we could end up with people just like Pete Stauber that go against our values and our way of life. They have their hashtag our way of life. Well, first and foremost, treaties are supreme law of the land, and they are a nonpartisan issue. But for better outcomes, it's just best if we vote for people that understand that treaties are supreme law of the land, and that we, the people, are the power, not Trump or any endorsement out there. It's the people, the civic engagement piece of it. So I'm excited about moving forward between now and 2024, because there's a lot of work to do, and we have to encourage more of our relatives and our allies to step it up and run for some offices in 2024. So the good work is just beginning. We're learning how to play this game. And again, Robert, I'm going to brag. We're going to play it better.
Right.
We're going to play it better.
Right, and I agree, and we do it in a good way too, because the things that I hear so much now from the other side is like, if this they're holding a blue pencil and they say it's red, and they say it enough where their followers believe it, and they believe it, and then all heck's breaking loose, because we know that pencil's not red, it's blue. See how I used the metaphor too of red and blue there? Oh,
Correct. Yeah, and it is our democracy, Robert. If we don't show up to vote, we're not being democratic. We're not showing that we have a voice in the matter. And I think it's important that we take experiences from all the past elections, the failed campaigns, the failed leadership, and say, hey, we had enough, and now we're going to get back to that people power, and we're going to build on that, Robert, because this is more than a vote. This is about everything. This is about community. It's about, the future that we're going to thrive in together, because capitalism is killing the environment, and we got great candidates out there willing to seek change that will take care of Mother Earth for all of us. And that's what excites me.
yeah, definitely for the next 7 generations, and we don't talk about that enough, especially to our allies all over that are listening to us. But we think in the future, the 7 generations ahead of us, and in a good way, and we really, really care about our great grandchildren and relatives.
Right. And, really quick, I know our time is running out, and I just want to say I had a good conversation with one of the candidates for sheriff today, and I reminded him of our recent treaty court case win here in Minnesota and how it sets a precedence for us to defend our natural resources on or off the reservation. And, working with elected officials, the politicians, this is a conversation we have to continue into the future. So again, they're nonpartisan, and regardless who wins these races, we have to continue that conversation, Robert. So we have to have a seat at the table, regardless who the leaders are, and make sure we're having the hard conversations, respecting those differences, and understanding that clean water is a basic right to life. And without clean water, what good is anything else? So we really have to onboard candidates into understanding what those treaties mean for all of us, because they're here to protect every single living thing.
Wow, perfect, Nancy. Pinagigi for being on and getting our guest on. Ogama, thank you so much for all you do here. And I would like to end with these thoughts. If you are listening to the show, you are part of the resistance. From Chief Plentycoops, the ground in which we stand on is sacred ground. It is the blood of our ancestors. We need to resist, divest, join a group, run for office. Pinagigi for Nancy, Ogama, and Erika for stopping in. We are still here. We are the 7th generation. Free Leonard Peltier now.
The Guthrie Theater presents Lynn Nonage's Pulitzer Prize winning Sweat, playing